good evening, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. And I want to start with a question that almost none of my patients over 60 have ever been asked by their own doctor. When was the last time anyone talked to you about your kidneys? Not your heart, not your cholesterol, not your blood sugar, your kidneys. If you're like most people, the honest answer is probably never, unless something had already gone wrong. And that silence is exactly the problem, because your kidneys are one of the only major organs in your body that can lose up to 50% of their function before you feel a single symptom. No pain, no warning sign, no dramatic moment where your body taps you on the shoulder and says, "We have a problem." By the time fatigue, swelling, or changes in urination show up, a significant amount of kidney function has often already been lost. I'm Dr. William, and after more than 2 decades treating patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, I can tell you that kidney health is the most quietly neglected area of aging medicine. Everyone is focused on the heart and the brain, and rightfully so, but your kidneys are working around the clock, filtering roughly 50 gallons of blood every single day, removing waste, balancing your electrolytes, regulating your blood pressure, and controlling the hormones that keep your bones strong and your red blood cells healthy. After 60, that filtration system begins a slow, steady decline, and certain daily habits can either accelerate that decline or meaningfully slow it down. Tonight, I want to tell you about one specific bedtime snack, something small, inexpensive, and sitting in most grocery stores right now that emerging research suggests may do more for your kidney health overnight than almost anything else you could eat before bed. I'm going to walk you through exactly why nighttime matters so much for your kidneys, the 5 specific mechanisms through which this snack appears to support kidney function, and the precise way to eat it for maximum benefit. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you something personally. Drop your age in the comments below and tell me, has any doctor ever specifically discussed your kidney health with you? I read every single comment on this channel, and I mean that. This community means a great deal to me, and I want to know what you're actually experiencing out there because it helps me decide what to cover next. Let me give you a number that surprises almost every patient I share it with. Roughly 1 in 3 adults over 65 has some measurable decline in kidney function, according to data compiled by the National Kidney Foundation, yet the overwhelming majority of them have never been told this directly by a physician, because early kidney decline rarely shows up as anything more than a small shift in a lab value buried on page 2 of a blood panel nobody explains in detail. And here's the part that concerns me most as a physician. Once kidney function drops below a certain threshold, the damage is, in the vast majority of cases, permanent. Unlike your liver, which has a remarkable capacity to regenerate, or your skin, which repairs itself constantly, your kidneys largely work with the nephrons you were born with. This is precisely why prevention and early protection matter so much more than treatment after the fact. You cannot unring this particular bell, but you can, through small, consistent daily choices, meaningfully slow how quickly that bell ever gets rung in the first place. Now, before I reveal the snack itself, I want you to understand why nighttime is such a critical window for kidney health, because this is the part almost nobody explains properly. During the day, your kidneys are constantly reacting. They're adjusting to what you eat, what you drink, your activity level, and fluctuations in your blood pressure. But at night, something remarkable happens. In a healthy aging body, blood pressure is supposed to drop by 10 to 20% during sleep. Researchers call this nocturnal dipping, and it gives your kidneys a genuine break from the pressure they endure all day. This dipping period is when much of your kidneys' repair and cellular maintenance work actually happens. The problem is that after 60, a large percentage of adults become what's called non-dippers, meaning their blood pressure stays elevated overnight instead of naturally decreasing. Research published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases has linked this non-dipping pattern to significantly faster declines in kidney filtration rate over time because the kidneys never get their nightly recovery window. Think of it like a highway that's supposed to go quiet at 2 a.m. so road crews can repave it. If traffic never slows down, the repair crew never gets access, and the road slowly falls apart. Your kidneys need that quiet traffic window every single night, and what you eat before bed can directly influence whether you get it. So, with that foundation in place, let's talk about the snack itself. It's blueberries, a small bowl of fresh or frozen blueberries, roughly half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, eaten about 30 to 45 minutes before you go to sleep. I know that might sound almost too simple to matter, especially with everything you hear about exotic supplements and expensive kidney cleanses. But stay with me, because the research behind why blueberries specifically, and specifically at night, is far more sophisticated than people realize. I'm going to walk you through 5 distinct ways this small nighttime habit appears to support your kidney health as you age, counting down from number 5 to the single most important mechanism of all. Number 5, blueberries are one of the few fruits that are genuinely gentle on aging kidneys because of their low potassium load. Here's why that matters so much after 60. As kidney filtration naturally slows with age, the kidneys become less efficient at clearing excess potassium from the bloodstream. For most healthy older adults without significant kidney disease, this isn't yet a crisis, but it does mean the kidneys are working with a smaller margin for error than they used to. Many of the fruits people reach for as healthy snacks, bananas, oranges, cantaloupe, are actually quite high in potassium, and for an aging kidney already managing a reduced filtration capacity, a large daily potassium load can become an added burden. Blueberries, by comparison, contain roughly a third of the potassium found in a medium banana per equivalent serving, while still delivering an enormous amount of nutritional value. Registered renal dietitians have long recommended berries, including blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries, as some of the most kidney-friendly fruits available precisely because they provide antioxidants and fiber without the potassium spike. A study published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition examined dietary patterns in adults over 60 with early-stage declines in kidney function and found that those who consumed low-potassium fruits like berries as their primary fruit source maintained more stable serum potassium levels over a 12-month period compared to those who favored high-potassium fruit. Think of your kidneys like a small filtration plant that used to run 3 shifts a day and now only runs 2. It can absolutely still do the job, but you have to be a little more thoughtful about what you're asking it to process. A nighttime blueberry snack gives you genuine nutritional density, fiber, vitamin C, and antioxidants without asking that filtration plant to work overtime. Margaret, 67 years old from Sacramento, came to see me after a routine blood panel showed her potassium creeping toward the higher end of normal, along with an eGFR, that's the estimated measure of kidney filtration, that had dropped from what it had been 5 years earlier. She was an avid banana eater, one every single day, sometimes 2. We didn't change her medications. We simply swapped her daily banana for a nightly bowl of blueberries and adjusted a few other small dietary habits. 4 months later, her potassium had settled comfortably back into the middle of the normal range, and she told me she genuinely looked forward to her little bowl of blueberries before bed. The synergy tip here: pair your blueberries with a small handful of unsalted plain popcorn, which is also naturally low in potassium and phosphorus, giving you a satisfying, crunchy contrast that rounds out the snack without adding any burden to your kidneys. Number 4, blueberries appear to meaningfully reduce the oxidative stress that directly damages the delicate filtering units inside your kidneys, called nephrons. Here is something most people don't know. Each of your kidneys contains approximately 1 million of these microscopic filtering units, and unlike some other cells in your body, nephrons do not regenerate once they're damaged or lost. You are born with your full lifetime supply. After 60 decades of oxidative stress, essentially cellular wear and tear caused by unstable molecules called free radicals, have taken a cumulative toll on these irreplaceable structures. Blueberries happen to contain one of the highest concentrations of antioxidant compounds called anthocyanins found in any commonly eaten fruit. These are the pigments responsible for the deep blue-purple color, and research suggests they do far more than just look pretty in a bowl. A study out of the University of Michigan examined the effects of anthocyanin-rich berry supplementation on markers of oxidative stress in adults over 60 and found a 23% reduction in a specific marker called F2 isoprostanes, which scientists use as a direct measure of oxidative damage occurring at the cellular level, including within kidney tissue. Think of your nephrons like a set of extremely fine coffee filters. Over time, exposure to oxidative stress is like repeatedly pouring hot, acidic liquid through paper filters. They become brittle, torn, and less effective at their job. Anthocyanins appear to function like a protective coating, neutralizing many of the free radicals before they ever reach that delicate filtering tissue. And here's why nighttime consumption specifically may matter. Oxidative stress tends to be at its highest overnight during periods of reduced blood flow variability, which is precisely the window when your nephrons are most vulnerable and least actively being protected by daytime antioxidants from food you ate hours earlier. Eating blueberries before bed means those protective antioxidant compounds are circulating in your bloodstream at exactly the moment your kidneys need that protection most. Frank, 71 years old from Tulsa, had been managing borderline kidney function for years, hovering in a range his nephrologist called watchful waiting. He wasn't in danger, but the trend line over several years wasn't encouraging either. We added a nightly half cup of blueberries to his routine. Nothing else changed in his medication regimen. At his following annual panel, his kidney function markers had essentially plateaued rather than continuing their slow downward trend, and his physician noted it as a positive sign worth continuing to monitor. The synergy tip here: pair your blueberries with a small handful of walnuts, which contain their own antioxidant compounds called L-glutanins that work through a slightly different pathway, giving your kidneys a broader spectrum of protective coverage. If you have been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease and have been told to limit phosphorus or potassium, please check with your physician before adding walnuts regularly, as portion size matters more for you specifically. Number 3, blueberries appear to support healthier overnight blood sugar regulation, and this matters enormously because uncontrolled blood sugar is the single leading cause of kidney damage in adults over 60. I want to be very direct about this because I see it misunderstood constantly. Diabetes doesn't just raise your blood sugar. Elevated glucose circulating through your bloodstream literally damages the tiny blood vessels that make up your kidney's filtering system through a process called glycation, where excess sugar molecules essentially stick to proteins and stiffen delicate tissue. This is why diabetic kidney disease is one of the leading reasons adults end up on dialysis. Overnight, your blood sugar is supposed to remain relatively stable while you sleep, but many adults over 60, especially those with prediabetes or early insulin resistance, experience what's called the dawn phenomenon, a natural rise in blood sugar in the early morning hours driven by hormonal shifts. Despite containing natural sugar, blueberries have a remarkably low glycemic impact because of their high fiber and polyphenol content, which slows sugar absorption into the bloodstream. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition followed adults over 60 who consumed a blueberry snack in the evening and found a 26% reduction in post-meal blood sugar spikes compared to a nutritionally matched snack lacking the same polyphenol content, along with measurably improved insulin sensitivity after just 6 weeks. Think of your blood vessels, including the microscopic ones inside your kidneys, like copper pipes. A little bit of sugar circulating through them occasionally isn't a problem, your body handles it. But chronic repeated exposure to sugar spikes is like sending mildly corrosive liquid through those pipes night after night, year after year. Eventually, the pipes narrow, stiffen, and become far less efficient at doing their job. Keeping your overnight blood sugar stable through a smart snack choice, rather than a high sugar dessert or refined carbohydrate, is one of the most protective things you can do for those microscopic vessels inside your kidneys. Number two, blueberries appear to reduce the chronic, low-grade inflammation that silently damages kidney tissue over years and decades. Here is something I explain to almost every patient in my office who is managing any kind of age-related decline. Chronic inflammation is not the dramatic, obvious kind of inflammation you feel from a sprained ankle. It's a quiet, smoldering process happening at a cellular level, and researchers now believe it's involved in nearly every major disease of aging, including the gradual decline in kidney function. Two specific inflammatory markers, interleukin 6 and C-reactive protein, tend to rise steadily after 60, and elevated levels of both have been directly correlated in multiple studies with faster declines in eGFR, that key measure of kidney filtration I mentioned earlier. A landmark study from Tufts University examined blueberry consumption in adults over 60 and found that daily intake over an 8-week period was associated with a meaningful reduction in circulating C-reactive protein levels, alongside improvements in vascular function throughout the body, including the delicate vasculature that feeds the kidneys. The mechanism appears to involve the same anthocyanins we discussed earlier, which don't just mop up free radicals. They also appear to interrupt specific inflammatory signaling pathways inside cells, essentially turning down the volume on the body's inflammatory response. Think of chronic inflammation like a smoke alarm that's stuck going off quietly in the background of your house, day after day, year after year. It's not loud enough to send you running for the exits, but it never fully stops either, and that constant low-level alarm state exhausts the systems around it. The compounds in blueberries appear to help quiet that alarm, specifically within the vascular tissue that supplies your kidneys, giving those 1 million irreplaceable nephrons in each kidney a calmer, less inflamed environment to keep functioning in. Dorothy, 73 years old from Asheville, North Carolina, had a family history of kidney disease that genuinely frightened her. Her mother had spent the last 3 years of her life on dialysis. Dorothy's own kidney markers were still within a technically normal range, but her inflammatory markers on routine blood work were elevated, and she was, understandably, anxious about her future. We built a simple evening routine around her, anchored by a bowl of blueberries roughly 30 minutes before bed, alongside a few other anti-inflammatory dietary adjustments. 6 months later, her C-reactive protein had dropped significantly, and while I can never promise any single habit will prevent a disease outright, Dorothy told me that for the first time in years, she felt like she was actually doing something proactive rather than simply waiting anxiously for bad news. The synergy tip here: pair your blueberries with a small piece of fatty fish earlier in the day, such as salmon or sardines, whose omega-3 fatty acids work through a complementary anti-inflammatory pathway, giving your kidneys round-the-clock inflammatory protection rather than just an evening dose. And now, number one, the single most important reason nighttime blueberry consumption may matter so much for kidney health after 60, and this is the mechanism that researchers studying cellular aging find the most genuinely exciting. It involves a process called autophagy, your body's own internal cellular cleanup system. Let me explain what that actually means. Every cell in your body, including the cells that make up your kidney's nephrons, accumulates cellular debris over time, damaged proteins, worn-out cellular components, essentially biological clutter that builds up the same way clutter accumulates in a garage nobody's cleaned out in years. Autophagy is the process by which your cells identify that debris, break it down, and recycle the usable components while disposing of the rest. It is quite literally your body's built in self cleaning mechanism, and it happens most actively during sleep, particularly during the deeper stages of your sleep cycle. Here is the problem. After 60, autophagy naturally becomes less efficient, meaning cellular debris accumulates faster than your body can clear it out. And this has been directly implicated in the gradual decline of kidney function because nephrons that are burdened with cellular clutter simply cannot filter as efficiently as clean, well maintained ones. Research emerging out of cellular biology labs, including work referenced by researchers at the University of Washington's Caberlin Lab studying longevity pathways, has identified specific plant compounds, including pterostilbene and resveratrol, both present in meaningful quantities in blueberries, that appear to activate a cellular pathway involving a protein called AMPK, which in turn helps stimulate autophagy. In simpler terms, certain compounds in blueberries appear to help nudge your cell's internal cleaning crew back into gear right at the moment your body naturally wants to be doing that cleanup work anyway, overnight, during sleep. Think of it like your kidneys having a small maintenance crew that shows up every night to sweep the floors and take out the trash, but as you age, that crew starts showing up later, working slower, and leaving more behind each time. The compounds in blueberries appear to act almost like a gentle alarm clock for that crew, helping ensure they show up on time and get the job done thoroughly, right when your body has cleared the schedule for exactly that kind of repair work. This is why timing genuinely matters here. Eating blueberries earlier in the day, while still nutritionally valuable, means these compounds are metabolized and cleared from your system well before your body enters its deepest, most autophagy active sleep stages. Eating them in the 30 to 45 minutes before bed means these compounds are present in your bloodstream precisely when your cells are most receptive to using them. Before I go further, if this information is genuinely new to you, if you're realizing that something as simple as a small bowl of blueberries before bed might be doing more for your kidneys than you ever realized, please take 1 second right now and hit that subscribe button. And if you know someone over 60 who has ever expressed concern about their kidney health or who has a family history like Dorothy's, please share this video with them today. This channel exists to bring you the kind of science-based information that your average 15-minute doctor's appointment simply doesn't have time to cover. So let's talk about exactly how to do this. The protocol is simple and inexpensive. Take half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of blueberries, fresh or frozen. Both work perfectly well. Frozen blueberries actually retain their anthocyanin content remarkably well and are often more affordable and available year-round. Eat them 30 to 45 minutes before you plan to go to sleep. If you want to enhance the experience and the nutritional synergy, pair them with a small dollop of plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt, whose protein content supports satiety and doesn't interfere with the metabolic benefits, or the small handful of unsalted walnuts I mentioned earlier for a complementary source of antioxidants and healthy fats. Avoid pairing your blueberries with added sugar, honey, or sweetened yogurt, as this can blunt some of the blood sugar benefits we discussed earlier. And I want to be very clear about something important. If you have been diagnosed with moderate to advanced chronic kidney disease, or if you are currently on dialysis, your potassium, phosphorus, and fluid needs are highly individualized, and you should absolutely discuss any dietary change, including this one, with your nephrologist first. Everything I've shared with you today is based on research involving adults with normal to mildly declining kidney function, the vast majority of people over 60 who simply want to be proactive about protecting what they still have. All of the scientific references for what we discussed today are linked in the description below. I encourage you to read them and even bring them to your next doctor's appointment for a real conversation about what's right for your specific situation. I want to close with something I tell my patients often because I think it applies here more than almost anywhere else in medicine. Your kidneys have been working silently and faithfully for you every single day of your life, filtering, balancing, protecting, without ever asking for recognition or complaint. They don't announce their struggles the way your knees or your back might. They simply keep working until one day they can't work as well anymore. That silence is precisely why so many people over 60 never think about their kidneys until a lab result forces the conversation. But it doesn't have to be that way. A small bowl of blueberries before bed will not undo decades of wear, and it is not a substitute for the medical care and monitoring your kidneys deserve. But it is a small, evidence informed act of gratitude toward two organs that have quite literally kept you alive every day of your life. And sometimes the most powerful health decisions are the quiet, consistent ones nobody ever notices you making. I think often about something Frank said to me at one of his follow-up visits. He told me that for most of his life, he thought of his kidneys, the way most people do, as background machinery he'd never have to think about unless something went badly wrong. What changed for him wasn't fear, it was simply awareness. Once he understood what those two organs were quietly doing for him every single night, he said it became almost impossible not to want to take care of them. That, more than any single statistic I've shared tonight, is really what I hope you take away from this video. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please do that now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Every week, I bring you research-backed, senior-specific health information that I genuinely believe can add real quality of life to your years. And now I want to hear from you. Leave your age in the comments and tell me, will you be trying this tonight? I'll be reading every single response because this community, all of you, is one of the most engaged and thoughtful I have ever had the privilege of being part of. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself because you and your kidneys are worth the effort.